So here we are again for JB's Track Tips Advanced Level, with JB himself, of course. Who else could we do it with JB's Track Tips?
Tis my name.
That's right. We were down at the Bend recently, so before we explain and show you exactly what that looked like, we thought we'd have a little chat about the track, but we're going to show you a hot lap in just 1 second. JB's going to talk us through. The track itself at the Bend though, JB, there's a few different versions, but it's the international layout we use, right?
That's the supercar track, and it's 18 corners, and it's a fabulous facility and very complicated. I have to say it took quite a bit of learning to maximise it.
Yeah, it's not something you just turn up and dial into, is it? Because there's a lot of trickiness here, a lot of corner setups that are quite unusual. It's a clockwise track, which sometimes is different for people, but I couldn't believe you hadn't been there before.
Well, I'd been there, but I hadn't actually driven on it properly. I'd been there to look at it. It's an absolute credit to the Shaheen organisation. So let's have a look at this hot lap. I haven't seen it myself, so I'm keen.
You want to see a hot lap of yourself?
I'm keen to have a look at myself.
So what we've got here is the V-Box. I would describe this lap as almost a race lap for you. I think you could, in this car, you could peel off 203s for a lot like a race lap. So why don't we have a look at the lap and you talk us through what's going on.
So here we are at the main straight of the Bend. It's about the same speed as Sandown, Eastern Creek. It goes over a crest here, and the braking into turn one is very late. And we're down a couple of gears. It goes kinks to the left, which you can't quite take flat, although you probably could, and then turns right and starts to climb up a hill. Now this bit up here is quite tricky because it's very fast. You're going up through the gears. It's a very quick left-hand corner, a little feather off the throttle, which may be able to be reduced, and then down into a very tight hairpin, which we're down into second gear again. It's very important to get on the power early, and now the next part of the track is the trickiest bit I found anyway. It goes right and right and right and right. It's almost never-ending right-handers, and you're trying to carry as much speed as you can. If you get in there too fast, you run out of road. We've just come clear, we've got a little wiggly bit here, but that double right is tricky. Beautiful little car, this Porsche GT4. What's great about this track is there's elevation changes, and they make racetracks interesting. You can notice how quickly you can get on the power with this car. Now, normally I would take that corner in second gear, but I'm trying to flow it better in third, just to keep its corner speed up and make it easier to drive on the throttle. Now that little right-hand kink there, you'd think it would be easy, but it's not that easy. Hard, mega hard on the brakes there. This is the last turn, it climbs. The camera shot doesn't really show the level of elevation there. You run really wide onto the straight, and then you've got a few seconds to have a breather as you cross the line and see how well you're going. Great circuit though, really, really interesting.
So there you have it, nice lap, mate. I think that was more a race pace lap for you.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't 10 tenths, but it was, let's call it 9 tenths. Someone else's car, meaning yours, and you know, I'm still becoming familiar with the track. Terrific track though, and a great experience.
And the footage doesn't really do it justice. It looks smooth, you make it look smooth, of course you do, but there are moments in there that you're trying really hard, right?
Nice you to say that.
The footage doesn't always show you how difficult some of these things are, but I thought it was a great talk through of what a fast lap looks like. Why don't we go and take a look at when we were down there just some weeks back of some footage we recorded there. Stay with us. So JB, here we are at the end of a sensational day and a half here at the Bend down in wonderful Adelaide. What a facility. Look, we've talked before about JB, right? 3 key elements we talk about for driving fast and driving well at high speed, which was we know you've got to do the practice.
Yep.
Right, then you have coaching, and then you have data.
Yes.
Right, so we talked about this before. Now, it was interesting this time around because my practice, Alex's practice, was to do quite a lot of laps on the sim. We've got a really well set up sim, and we're going to show you this later about how much the sim can help you get familiarised with the track, whereas you had to come here absolutely cold, never driven here before, and yeah, you can dial in much faster than we can as just rank old amateurs. But it was interesting with the sim, we felt we came up to speed a lot quicker than we otherwise would had we had to learn this whole thing from scratch.
Well, I think that's a true fact. Yes, I think you know, doing the sim, and it's obviously quite a good sim, was a big help. I mean, I looked at a bit of in-car footage on YouTube, and I looked at a circuit map, but it doesn't really prepare you for it.
Nothing like it though, really, is it, till we go.
And our friend Dean Canto, he helped us. I'm giving you a plug there, mate.
Yeah, the great, you know, the up to 11 guys that we work with here. They help us with coaching. Dean Canto, a great team of guys if you need. Now, coaching is a really important part. Now, I think these days, I guess as you get more advanced, right, there's less need to sit shotgun in the car because we almost lean a lot more on jumping straight to data for you to help Alex and me, right? Like you did a lot of coaching side by side. And then as we progressed...
Early in the piece, yes.
Yeah, you've got the data.
With cars that are not as, say, quick as this one, a side-by-side is handy, but truly data is way, way better and way easier to analyse performances of drivers. So it's just, you can look at certain sectors of it, say, forget this, forget this, forget this. That bit there, you just lost 0.2 of a second or 0.3 of a second or something, and you can go out there and not worry about anything else except that section where you know you're weak. So it makes it much easier to do. If you're sitting beside someone, you know, you're trying to tell somebody how to hold a steering wheel
or what you're doing wrong or something.
Everybody has different ways to do things, and your natural style is important, I think.
Well, and Dean Canto was saying, I thought very fairly, that he was saying on their coaching that they're better to drive your car, have you in the passenger seat and show you. So it can vary coach to coach, whether you want to sit shotgun or take over the wheel and show somebody something. So I think the key is you always at some point in advanced driving going to need coaching, particularly if you know you've got a problem, you can't quite get a couple of corners right. But if we look at it, I think one of the key parts we love, and it is a new thing, or us old blokes in particular, is data, right? So we've got some overlay data, and just like Bathurst and Phillip Island, there's nothing quite like getting great data. Just have a look at the sort of data you can get out of the V-Box or the car. It's really intriguing. And what we've got here, as you can see, it's overlay data. So when people look at data, they can look at their own data all the time. But what's even better is when you overlay it and compare corner by corner what someone else is doing. You can see here with a red line and green, right?
We have a speed trace at the top. We have a time gain loss at the bottom between the two of us. We have a throttle map there. We have brake pressure here. Say for instance, I brake later than you, Bruce, and look at my brake pressure, it's twice as high.
Yeah.
So, but as we got through the lap...
JB normally wears out the brakes on my Porsche really quickly. That's how he does it. Go on. Yes. Sorry, mate, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'll accept that criticism. But towards later in the lap, you started to gap me through places. So it's really handy, because if you had a go now, you'd go, okay, I can go a few more metres into turn 1 and a little bit quicker through turn 5. But then I can learn some things from you here. So, you know, it's so handy. You can't do that sitting beside someone because you can't tell the difference.
Exactly. And what I found really interesting, JB, right? So you have to learn a track, so you should creep up on the time you might want to target or what you think you're capable of.
Yeah.
I remember you helped me. We had a stint practice, like a half day yesterday. JB helped me, you know, so let's say I was running around in like a 207, and we went through this data and picked really 2 places on the track, just 2 corners, where I was at. Now you might think that's a lot, but it's still only 2 or 3 seconds. Is not a lot in a lap that's over 2 minutes long. So I found it really good. Came out this morning, went from a 207 down to a 204, and then obviously into low 203. So I think it does work, particularly when you're creeping up on it, right? You really don't look at this at the end of the 2 sessions or 5 sessions. You want to look at this as you progress,
as
and
you
see where you can improve, right?
As you go through the day, So you get your head around a couple of little areas, and then you go and try and execute it, and then you have another look. I mean, that's why it's so handy to do this. You know, I mean, when I first started racing, there was no data. Then slowly it crept in, and I didn't use it for a long time. And then I did use it because it's so handy. So
it's almost impossible now to really refine it without some form of data. And I think
you're not going to get the best out of yourself.
No, exactly. What was great, right? So I had myself, JB, you know, long-standing race driver of all kinds. Alex, you know, was my son, and we kind of looked at that and go, we've got a bit of practice on the sim. JB's never done the track, so we kind of started off all even, go through different paces, but we all ended up pretty even in the end with our times around that 2:03 mark. And it was fascinating. The journey's different, but it's interesting, isn't it, with all your help and coaching, how you can get fast, but everyone has their own way of creeping up on it. And it's a good track to, I think, get in a rhythm and creep up on it. You know, Alex decided he was going to go for a PB in the first session.
On the fourth lap. But I tell you, he's fast.
That's why he's now working on the car and he's doing this, because he speared off the road a couple of times, but then he beat us both. So I guess that's the benefit of youth and all that kind of stuff. But it's been fantastic. It's a wonderful, wonderful facility here at the Bend. I haven't been anywhere like it in Australia, JB. It's a wonderful place to be. I'll be back here tomorrow, mate.
Oh, so would I, and I'd love to do a race here somewhere. And if they ever do one for a GT4 car for 3 hours or something, I'm in, mate. You might have to drug Alex, but I'll be in.
We have to cut him from the team, you reckon? Or a 3-man team or something like that. Yeah. All right, thanks for joining us. I'll look out for us next time at the next track.
Ciao.